Okay, now, so before you start creating tables, first you need to tell to your MySQL editor in what database you are going to create tables. Okay, so here there are totally 5 databases: demo, QA, it's Sakila, test and word. Totally there are 5 databases. But if you start creating table, first you need to tell in what database this table should go. Okay, for that first you need to give use. Okay, use, and then you need to give the database name, so that automatically this MySQL editor will point your next commands to that particular database. Okay, if you say here there are 5 databases, right? If you say use demo and run this by selecting, okay, now starting from here, whatever tables you create, it will automatically go into this demo database only. Though you have created it, no use. If you create any table or if you do any SQL queries, it will automatically point to this database, because you are using and telling that point to this with the help of this use command. Okay, that is mandatory. Before you start creating table or doing something, tell SQL editor that to what database I am actually pointing and doing these operations. You can do that with the help of use command. Okay, point to database using use command. Most of the people confused on it and they try to actually create tables without pointing it to any particular database. Right. So in our lecture, we started with this QA database, right? So let me use this and start creating tables into it. That's it. Now you run this command and see that it say use database. We have successfully pointed to the QA database. Right. Now let's start with creating tables into it. Okay. So let's think of some practical approach. Let me create a table with employee ID, employee first name, employee age and employee location. Okay, so this is our criteria to create a table, because in whatever office you go, this is the common table they maintain by HR department or some backend team. They need an ID of the employee, they need his name, at what place he is located and his age, just kind of a basic information about that employee. So let's say how can we create that table of that basic employee and how we send the data into it. Fine. First, to create a table, the syntax goes here: create table, right? And you need to give table name here, and let me take it as employee info. Fine. Now here basically we are creating outer structure for a table. Just assume if you want to create a table, first you need to write a rows for it, right? How you start creating table? Okay, let me open Excel and explain you on that. Yeah, so first if someone asks you to create a table, how do you start? First you start with row headers, right? Like name, employee, employee ID, and what next? Employee location, employee age. So first you design like this, right? And then what you do, you start entering data into these boxes, right? So this is the first step. Now let's create this first step of outer structure. Let's create the row names, what are the headers, and that outer structure is done. Then you can feed the data into this table. Let me go back. Now I am saying we need to give name for this table, right? So I am giving as employee info. So with this step actually I created the table with the employee info, and now I am creating this headers. Name. First, once you have defined that row name, you have to tell your database what kind of data type it is. It is an integer or it is a string or it is something else. So here name is a string. In SQL, for the strings, we have a data type called varchar. Remember this. Varchar is, it's nothing but variable characters. Okay, it may vary to any number. We will provide that number limit. Okay, variable characters it may receive, because one name have some characters and some name have some other characters. It's not constant value. So that's the reason we are saying variable characters, and let me restrict the value to 20. Okay, it should not exceed 20 characters in a name. Okay, that's what we have given data type. So for every field when you define, you have to give that data type as well. Next, ID, right? ID, and we are sure that ID will be something in format of number and it's an integer. Next, location, and it's a string again. Let's go with varchar and restrict it to some character, whatever it is. Let's restrict it to 20. What else? Age, it's again integer. Okay, so create table employee info. Sorry, let me cancel it. Yeah, so we are done with name, ID, location, age. Yeah, here we are saying please create a table for me with the name of employee info, and that it should have these rows as headers: name, ID, location and age. And we are also saying that name should take the characters, ID should take as an integer, and location will be in characters, age is an integer. That kind of basic information we are providing to the database. And when I run this command, okay, execute the selected portion, and it says done. When you see green tick mark, the employee info table outer structure is created with the name, ID, location, integer as an columns. Fine. Now if you want to know how it is created, okay, so you have successfully created a table outer structure now, and now you are interested to know how it got created and what are the variable names into it. You have to cross check it, the which you created. Okay, how do you do that? Let's continue in our next lecture. So here we have done with the basic step of creating table, and from the next lecture let's see how can we see the table which we got created and we start feeding the data into it. Okay, thank you.